Hi everybody, my name is Daniel and I'm an industrial designer working in Germany. So this is a little bit of a different video. Usually I do keyshot and render tutorials here on my YouTube channel, but this is a special video for industrial designers or people that are interested in industrial design. It is called the 7-question challenge. So I've been challenged to answer those 7 questions regarding industrial design, and that's what we're about to do. So let's jump in. There's a playlist which has all other participating designers as well, so you can watch all of them back to back. And everybody is also linked in the description, so if you're interested, click down below. All right, so the first question is, industrial design is a fairly uncommon field. How did you discover it? So both of my parents studied architecture, so I thought for a long time that I would be following in the footsteps and study architecture. But I went to a art-focused high school, and there I discovered that my local university has a course called industrial design. Then I looked into it and went to 3 open door events back to back. And I was hooked. So the students were showing me the projects they are doing, which ranged from futuristic cars to ships to mine drilling equipment. So that got me hooked, and I knew I wanted to study industrial design. That was when I was about 16. So I had a fairly specific goal in mind when I left for university. But an unknown fact was that my fallback solution was becoming an aviation engineer. So if I wouldn't go into industrial design, I would have become an aviation engineer. Maybe. The thing is, I am not really good at math, so I'm really glad it worked out. All right, second question. How do you explain your job to those who don't know about industrial design? So I live in Europe, and specifically Germany, and their Industriedesign is often called Produktdesign, which is product design. Industrial design is most commonly mistaken by building huge machinery. I think you already heard of that. So the most common question I will get back is, oh, are you designing huge industrial machinery? So here in Germany, when I introduce myself as a product designer, as a product designer, most of the time this will be understood quite well. Still, most of the time I have to explain and give examples on the products I design and make. So even though here in Germany we have a big history of industrial design and famous industrial designers, just think about Bauhaus or Dieter Rams and Braun. Basically nobody knows about industrial design still. You will need to explain it definitely. All right, third question. What inspirations have developed your industrial design style? So I don't think I have an industrial design style, especially because I'm working as a freelancer. I have to adapt to different styles, different companies, and different design languages. But I think over the time I did develop a certain design process or design approach, which I would call purpose-driven design. So this is how I judge designs and also judge my own concepts, designs, and sketches. So the basic idea is if you think about every single decision during the design process, I will always and constantly ask myself if what I just came up with fulfills the main goal of the project. So these goals can be quite varied and driven by many different factors. So these factors can be aesthetical, could be ergonomic, could be engineering driven, it could be economics driven, or even simple physics that just don't work out. So as long as I have an educated answer to all of those different design decisions during the process, I will be happy, and I think of it as a thought through design. All right, fourth question. Which company would you love to design a product for? So I think that might be very obvious, but stick with me. I would say Apple. And this is not because I love Apple products from their design point of view, but mainly to get a glimpse of their design process. So as I said, every company has a different design process, and I think Apple has a very specific one. And they are one company that actually can say that they're design driven by nature. So they would even design the inside of every product. So every component, every engineering component will be thought through by a designer. And this is something that most companies don't do. So I would love to see that. All right. 5th question. What is your go-to industrial design program? So I'm assuming software program. And for me, this is going to be Rhino, Fusion 360, and Keyshot. In Rhino, I really like that you can be free from any constraints that you might have in a solid program, such as SolidWorks or Fusion 360. And I like to have all my different iterations next to each other and judge them during my design process. So with Rhino, I really quickly can make one change and see the change next to the previous iteration. So this gives me a really good overview of the different steps I take during the design process. And I can always go back and forth in time through those iterations and see if maybe I made a step and or I made the right decisions. This is the main reason I really like Rhino. It's quick and I will get really good results even for up to engineering level. And one additional advantage, it works on Apple as well as on PC. The second program I use most often is Keyshot, and this is for rendering. So product renderers in Keyshot is quite easy, quite simple for the setup, and you can find Keyshot tutorials on this very YouTube channel as well. If you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. Keyshot is something that is really easy to learn but takes time to master. So I think it's really versatile. You can get good results really quickly, but then you'll be able to go more in detail and really dial in the details. So this combination of Rhino and Keyshot is my go-to. I do use Fusion 360 sometimes. If it's engineering-driven design, it tries to bridge the gap between solid modelers and surface modelers, and they do it quite well, but still I prefer Rhino. It just depends on the project. Okay, next question. So 6th question, what do you dislike most about industrial design? So this is going to be quite deep. So I think the main thing I don't like about industrial design is that I now have the insight in how products are being developed and produced without having sustainability in mind. So most newly developed products are still being made with one-use plastics and virgin materials just because they're so much driven by cost. So if more and more companies are developing new processes and use sustainable materials, the cost of these processes and materials will go down as well. It is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and in theory, it doesn't sound that hard. If you're a designer or somebody who is in charge of processes and development in your company, I will encourage you to push towards that goal, and I think every small step counts. So for example, starting with sustainable packaging and making the way towards recycled or biodegradable materials. And we shouldn't forget production facilities, fair labor, and short shipping distances. So those things should be always considered. And then I won't have to complain about industrial design. So last question, what makes an industrial design good? So I think what makes a product good? What's a good product? So as I mentioned before, I think of a product as a good product if the product is fulfilling its purpose. So there's never just one parameter that you can judge a product by. But I think when a product clearly states the problem that it is going to solve or it wants to solve, and then solving this problem really well, that is, in my eyes, a well-designed product. And again, these problems can have a range of complexity and topics. And I personally love when there has been made an effort to consider even the small details in a product. And I think that's a quote by Charles Eames, which goes, "Details are not just details, they make the design." And I think that really is true. So yeah, I hope you found this video interesting. I really loved the challenge and I hope you will look at other designers as well. So this was my take on the 7 industrial design question challenge. Be sure to check out all the other designers and their take on the design questions challenge. And I hope I see you soon. Take care.